The first spring festival after our falling out, my childhood friend came to visit. His mother told him to set me up on a date. He scoffed. No problem, just tell me what you're looking for. But honestly, with me around, who else could possibly catch your eye? The situation became awkward for a moment. Everyone knows I've had feelings for my childhood friend for 5 years, but he's never truly responded to them. Meeting the man's smug gaze, I simply offered a faint smile. No thanks, I'm all ready. In a relationship, after all, no one's going to wait for you forever. 01 Outside the restroom, Chuyen blocked my way. Who's your boyfriend? His voice was low and inscrutable. I looked up and met his gaze. The living room filled with the chatter and laughter of the elders. Just as I was about to speak, Chuyen let out a soft, derisive chuckle. Penglu, you didn't actually think I was going to ask you that, did you? The man leaned against the wall, his voice laced with a lazy drawl. Don't try to test me with these cheap tricks. I couldn't care less if you have a boyfriend. I told you, if you choose Tsinghua, I will never be with you. Chuyen was always so self-assured. I used to be so sure he gave up Tsinghua University for Jiangyu. I would have given it up too, right along with him. Now, I'm left thinking it was me testing him all along. I watched the man's figure retreat into the distance. I suddenly didn't want to let him have the upper hand every single time. Chuyen, I called out to him. The man stopped in his tracks. Is it me testing you, or are you afraid of something? Afraid that I'm not actually that important? You're right, we're just ordinary neighbors. Whether I have a boyfriend is none of your business. Please keep your distance from now on and don't just strike up a conversation with me. With that, I turned and went back to my room. Didn't notice the necklace gift box in the man's pocket, crumpled from being squeezed. 02 Chuyen and I grew up together. I've been following in his footsteps for 10 years. He would step in front of me with a stern face whenever I was being bullied. He'd stay up late after I failed my math exams, helping me make study plans and tutoring me. Everyone knows I have a crush on him. This affection, from vague to clear, was never hidden, yet it never found an echo. It wasn't until that summer night in my first year of high school, when the sky was filled with stars, I was sitting on the back of the boy's bicycle when I heard his voice. Penglu, you know I don't have patience for fools. My goal is to get into Tsinghua University. If you can get in too, I'll consider dating you. From that moment on, my life suddenly had a purpose. I put away all my novels and comics and started studying like crazy. Tsinghua isn't just a prestigious university in my eyes anymore. It's become my ticket to being Chuyen's girlfriend. I thought that as long as I kept striving, one day I'd surely be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with him, but they forget that true affection never requires any threshold. Jiangyu showed up on the very first day of our senior year. She was a poor transfer student and also Chuyen's desk mate. Chuyen, who never bothered with anyone, would bring her milk and bread for breakfast. He even stood me up several times just to help her with her homework. One weekend, the three of us made plans to go buy some workbooks together. That morning, Chuyen suddenly called to say he and Jiangyu had something come up and couldn't make it. Yet in the bookstore, I saw two people huddled together, working through the problems in a workbook. Chuyen, thank you for paying for my study materials. You know I don't have any money. I don't want anyone else to see me like this, only you. The boy paid with a smile. It's fine, honestly. I didn't want to go with Penglu either. She's always so difficult when shopping. My eyes started to well up. Chuyen turned his head, and our eyes met. I instinctively ran outside. I don't know what I'm afraid of. I just have a deep-seated resistance to facing this kind of situation. I had just reached the doorway when a large hand grabbed me. The man was breathing heavily, his face etched with panic, yet his tone remained forceful. It's not what you think. Between me and Sia, our minds are completely focused on our studies right now. We don't have time for anything else, unlike some people who are always thinking about nonsense. Chuyen's words felt like a bucket of ice water, drenching me from head to toe. Was the someone else he mentioned me? So, in his eyes, my affection was something so pitiful. 3 After that, I stopped asking Chuyen for tutoring, start studying harder. I want to prove that I, Penglu, am not as worthless as people think. I could have gotten into Tsinghua without him. On the day the results were posted, I rushed over to Chuyen's house, my heart pounding with excitement. What I found, however, was the whole class gathered together, celebrating Jiang Yu's birthday, everyone except me. Chuyen pulled me aside into a corner. She mentioned she's never celebrated a birthday before. I thought today, being the day we get our results, would be a perfect occasion, so I invited the classmates over to celebrate. I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to misunderstand. You know how sensitive you are. This is all for your own good, so it's still my fault for not being called. And yet, I can't explain, as if any explanation would only prove I'm being overly sensitive and making a fuss. Just as Chuyen finished speaking, Jiangyu walked out holding a plate of sliced cake. Since you're here, Lele, why don't you come in and have a bite? Make yourself at home, please. She carried herself with the unmistakable air of the lady of the house. Only after Jiangyu had entered did Chuyen begin to speak. Oh right, the application form. Don't forget to list South City University. Nanjing University. I looked up in surprise. Uncle Chu clearly said that Chu Yan's scores were high enough to meet Tsinghua University's admission requirements. Chuyen let out a soft cough and looked away from me. Yeah, her exam results were just average this time, only enough to get into Nanjing University. I'm worried about her going to another city all by herself. Every word cut through me like 1,000 needles, piercing my heart, making it hard to even breathe. So, Chuyen's standards were set just for me. I suddenly feel completely and utterly bored, she asked softly. And what if I don't? A confident smile curved the man's lips. Then none of the promises I made to you would mean anything. I will never be with you. The only one standing by my side will be Yaya. You know exactly what she feels for me. With that, Chuyen turned and went back into the house. As if I'd known how this conversation would end all along, I stood there for a long time, then suddenly burst out laughing, tears streaming down my face. So, he had known all along about Jiangyu's feelings for him, yet you still stand on the moral high ground, accusing me of having vile intentions, playing dumb when you know full well, treating me like a fool. What Chuyen didn't know was that, after all this hard work, Tsinghua University had become my dream too. I know the difference between a scumbag and my future, so when it came time to fill out my college applications, I chose Tsinghua without a second thought. 04. I never reached out to Chuyen again after that. Instead, I signed up for an IELTS prep course, planning to really brush up on my English. Over the summer, during this time, Chuyen also seemed quite busy. Aunt Chu mentioned that he leaves early and returns late every day, looking quite exhausted, but they still check in from time to time to ask about my college application submissions and the status of my acceptance letters. I didn't even reply. It wasn't until the day before he was set to leave for Tsinghua that Chuyen suddenly walked in carrying a huge box. Upon closer inspection, it was all the things one would need for a trip to the South. May and I went to buy it, and we picked up one for you too. There are lots of bugs in the South, so these are all essentials. I don't need it, you take it. I stared at Chuyen with an expression of utter indifference. For the past 2 months, thinking of him still stings at first, but I've been gradually weaning myself off it now. Still mad, the man smiled and reached out to pinch my cheek like he usually did, but I sidestepped to avoid it. His hand hovered in midair, then, with a sigh, he withdrew it. I've booked flights for all of you for the afternoon of the day after tomorrow. The flight details have been sent to your phone. Please don't be late, there's a surprise waiting for you then. With that, Chuyen left. It's a shame, I'll probably never find out what his surprise was, because the very next morning, I boarded a flight to Beijing. While strolling around the Tsinghua campus with my roommate, I got a call from Chuyen. Dozens of hang-ups, followed by dozens of calls coming through again. Eventually, I just blocked all of his contact information. He messaged me using another classmate's number. Peng Lu, you really got me. That very evening, I saw Jiangyu's post on her Moments. Thanks for the gift, boyfriend. In the picture is a bracelet I used to love. Chuyen once promised me that after high school, he'd get a job and buy it for me, yet now it rests upon another woman's hand. I chuckled and blocked Jiangyu as well. Anything that drains me has no place in my life. Naive youthful love has finally come to an end. 5. Listening to the firecrackers outside, I thought back to my confrontation with Chuyen. I suddenly missed He Jingshan terribly. I sent him a message. What are you up to? He Jingshan quickly replied, just thinking about what you're up to. Not long after, he sent another message. Lele, I miss you so much too. A single sentence effortlessly swept away all my worries. I remembered sharing a post with him once. When someone asks what you're doing, it means they're thinking of you. I didn't expect He Jingshan still remembered, so, we're missing each other. He Jingshan's love is always so direct and passionate. With him, I never have to guess or ask. He openly tells me he loves me and adores me. He makes me believe that, no matter what happens, he will stand by my side unconditionally. Men who are cold and stubborn might only be popular in novels. In real life, That feeling of being firmly chosen and truly loved, that's exactly what I want. That night, Jingshan and I stayed on a video call chatting until late, and eventually lost track of when we fell asleep. 6. On the 5th day of the Lunar New Year, after the Spring Festival celebrations had wound down, my high school classmates organized a reunion dinner. I really didn't want to go. The reason was simple: I just didn't want to run into Chuyen and Jiangyu, but my best friend, Su Xiao, practically dragged me there anyway. Her crush was going to be there, and she was planning to confess her feelings today. She insisted I come along for moral support. As soon as I walked in, I saw that almost everyone from the class had already arrived. Chuyen and Jiangyu were sitting right in the middle. Jiangyu was just about to get up when Chuyen pulled her back again. He slipped an arm around her waist and whispered in her ear, the very picture of a couple deeply in love. I glanced once and quickly looked away, then casually sat down somewhere. While ordering, Chuyen went ahead and picked out 5 or 6 seafood dishes, saying Jiangyu loved them. Su Xiao couldn't help but speak up. Lei Lei is allergic to seafood. How is she supposed to eat this? Chuyen raised an eyebrow slightly. What, just because she doesn't eat seafood, the rest of us can't have any? Or are you going to disappear without a word again the moment you don't get your way? Miss Ping, he looked right at me when he said that last line. I gave the others a faint smile and said, "It's fine, everyone should order whatever they like, don't worry about me. I didn't come here to eat anyway." Seeing my indifferent expression, the old feelings of grievance and sadness were gone. Chuyen's gaze darkened. Seeing the awkward tension, the other students quickly changed the subject. Enough about that. I heard you just started college and already won a gold medal in a computer competition. Not bad at all. Truly living up to your reputation as the campus heartthrob and top student. You really shine wherever you go. Chuyen smiled as he shared his competition insights with other classmates, his gaze accidentally flicking toward me for a moment. The atmosphere was lively once again. I fell silent, staring at the chat history with He Jingshan on my phone. The guy hasn't replied since asking for the address of my class reunion 2 hours ago, probably off hanging out with his own friends. I sent him the menu. Looks like someone's going hungry tonight. Danger zone for the seafood allergic. Su Xiao couldn't stand to see Chuyen hogging all the spotlight. Suddenly, she asked me loudly, "Hey, isn't Lei Lei at Tsinghua? So, do you know He Jingshan?" 7. Hearing He Jingshan's name out of the blue, I nearly choked on my water. He coughed a few times before answering, "Why yes, I know him." Upon hearing the name He Jingshan, the others instinctively fell silent. It's all because He Jingshan is just too well known. Although he was only 1 year ahead of us, he had already become the subject of praise from professors at various universities. He basically wins first place in any competition he enters. Even students who've never met him have heard of him if they're at all in the know. Su Xiao, seizing the opportunity, immediately launched into mindless praise. "Wow, Lei Lei, you're amazing. You actually know someone that impressive. I went to watch a physics competition with my senior once. He was the only undergrad there, competing against a room full of masters and PhD students, and he totally carried the whole thing." The judges were completely blown away. We senior girls were absolutely enchanted. It's just a shame that when several girls went to ask for his WeChat afterward, he said he already had a girlfriend. I wonder who his girlfriend is. She must be incredibly lucky. Hearing Su Xiao's words, I couldn't help but let a small smile tug at the corner of my mouth. Before I could even get a word out, Jiangyu cut me off. "It seems Lei Lei is doing very well at Tsinghua University. You blocked both me and Brother Yan before. I thought you'd stay mad at us forever." "Lei Lei, no matter whether what happened before was our fault or not, I still want to apologize to you first. I just hope you don't blame Brother Yan. It's all my fault for being useless and always making him worry about me." As she spoke, Jiangyu's eyes welled up and she began to cry. Chuyen quickly tried to soothe him. "Penglu, Yaya has already apologized to you. What more do you want?" The others looked at me with complicated expressions. Even though I hadn't said a word, they effortlessly turned the conflict towards me again. Just then, my phone suddenly rang. It was a message from He Jingshan, a photo of the restaurant downstairs. "Your delivery driver has arrived. Please come downstairs to receive your order." 08. My heart, once sunk to the bottom, stirred again at those words. I stopped paying attention to what Chuyen and Jiangyu were saying. He stood up and said, "Sorry, my boyfriend's here to pick me up. I've got to go." With that, I hurried downstairs. Amidst the swirling snow, I caught sight of that familiar, tall figure, the man leaned against the car, the dim streetlight turning the falling snowflakes into a cascade of stardust. The moment our eyes met, He Jingshin's face lit up. I threw myself into his arms. What are you doing here? I thought we agreed to meet back at school. He Jingshin pulled me into a tight embrace. I knew my girlfriend missed me. A boyfriend still on probation has to make a good impression. Hearing the playful tone in his voice, I couldn't help but stand on my tiptoes and give him a kiss on the cheek, my reward. Not satisfied, He Jingshin lowered his head, ready to ask for more. When he suddenly looked up and glanced behind him, I turned to follow his gaze. Chuyen had followed us out at some point and was now standing not far away. His fists were clenched, his face a mask of thunder. Soon after, the other classmates followed out as well. Su Xiao gasped. He Jingshin, everyone turned to look. Is that really him? It is. I've seen his interviews before, and his photo is on his university's official website too. Su Xiao ran over and threw an arm around my neck. Well, when did you start moving in such fancy circles, and you didn't even tell me? I smiled apologetically and said nothing. The others invited He Jingshin to go upstairs and have a meal together. The man glanced down at me, his eyes seeking my opinion. I immediately declined. No thanks, we've got something else going on later. He Jingshin understood, put his arm around my shoulder, and said to the others with a smile, next time, though. This time, my girlfriend said she was craving our local pan-fried buns, so I brought her some. Upon hearing this, all the female classmates turned to me with looks of envy. Just as we were about to leave, Chuyen suddenly stepped forward and took my hand, as if unsure what to say. They paused before speaking. The meal isn't finished yet. I pulled away. No, thank you, that's all seafood. It's not for me. I have something more suitable now. Yes, seafood is delicious, but the more you consume what isn't right for you, the deeper the harm. 9. Sitting in the car, I ate my shangjianbo while watching He Jingshin's expression. I knew he had figured it out, because when he had his arm around my shoulder and was speaking, his eyes were fixed on Chuyen. I didn't mention Chuyen to him earlier because I didn't think it was necessary. That's all in the past for me. It won't affect my present, nor can it change my future, but this time, I spoke up anyway, to avoid any unnecessary misunderstandings down the line. After hearing it, He Jingshin remained silent for a long while. I felt a bit nervous, so I didn't tell you about this and secretly went to meet him. Will you be mad? He Jingshin gave a helpless smile. Idiot, if I don't even have confidence in this much, wouldn't that mean I'm looking down on myself too much? You're not just my girlfriend, you're your own person, with the freedom to do whatever you want and make any friends you choose, and I will never be the one to hold you back. I just feel a bit heartbroken for you. A slight sting in the nose, and the eyes begin to well up. He Jingshin always has a way. Let's resolve our issues with a gentle yet firm approach. Makes me love him a little more each time. 10. I first met Kaga Kajifumi on the very day I enrolled at Saika University. A man stood at the school gate, his slender hands taking my suitcase. Penglu, right, I'm He Jingshin. Your mother asked me to pick you up. I never expected my mom's best friend's son to be so handsome. The He family has been living abroad for years, and He Jingshin only returned to China when he started university, so we've hardly ever met. Perhaps sensing my unease, He Jingshin spent the entire time telling me about the school. There was hardly ever an awkward silence after that. He dropped me off at my dorm and left. He told me to contact him anytime if I had any questions. His measured and appropriate manner put me at ease. I didn't dare bother him again after that, but Tsinghua really lives up to its name. The workload is no joke. Just as I was venting to my mom, she cut right in. What's there to worry about? Isn't Jingshin a top student? Just have him tutor you. It turned out both my mom and He Jingshin were people who got things done. That night, I received a message from He Jingshin. We agreed to meet at the library to study over the weekend. I also stayed up late studying for several days in advance. I'm just afraid my questions are too basic and might bore people. Back when I was with Chuyen, he'd often look down on me over stuff like this. That day at the library, I was quietly working on problems. Suddenly, He Jingshin let out a long sigh. I'm so sad, Xian. My heart tightened. I thought I'd caused him trouble. Gong. He Jingshin's tone sounded a bit defeated. Zhong. I originally wanted to show off my cleverness as an upperclassman in front of my junior, but unfortunately, she's too impressive. She didn't even give me a chance to show off. How? I looked up dazedly, straight into his smiling eyes. There was no trace of impatience in it, only gentle teasing. My heart gradually began to relax. The man's gaze settled just below my eyes, his brow slightly furrowed. You were up late last night, weren't you? I can see the dark circles under your eyes. Silly, if you could do everything yourself. What would you need me for? Just hand any tough problems over. To me, it felt like the distance between us suddenly shrank. Later I realized just how amazing He Jingshin really is. Many complex problems became simple and easy to understand after he broke them down. 11. The more time I spent with He Jingshin, my roommates all say he's into me. At first, I didn't believe it, but when he sent me something for the 10th time, using his mom as an excuse, I finally couldn't hold back. Senior, are you? It was too embarrassing to bring up. But just as I was about to give up, He Jingshin suddenly spoke. Yes, I'm pursuing you. I was completely stunned. The man bent down, bringing his eyes level with mine. I guess I wasn't obvious enough, leaving you still in doubt. So, Miss Ping, will you give me a chance, an opportunity to pursue you? And here I am, staring at that handsome face just inches away. In the end, I caved and agreed. 12. That evening, He Jingshin and I went to see one of the popular Lunar New Year movies. After saying goodbye downstairs at my place, I turned around and saw Chuyen standing in the shadows. The man was staring at me with an icy gaze. When did you two get together, and how far has it gone? His tone carried an air of presumptuous interrogation. I didn't answer and prepared to leave directly, but as I passed by, he slammed me against the wall. Answer me. Do you really think He Jingshin is genuinely interested in you? He's just toying with you. Once he gets what he wants, he'll dump you like a used rag. Smack. Before Chuyen could finish, I'd already slapped him across the face. The man was completely stunned. Are you awake now? What's between He Jingshin and me is none of your business to define, and you have no right to question me about anything. After saying that, afraid he might do something reckless again, I turned and ran. Chuyen tried to follow me, and I shouted out directly, don't come any closer, don't forget what you said earlier, we're just regular neighbors. Acting like this only makes me think you're jealous of him. A single sentence brought Chuyen to a complete stop. He just stood there, watching my retreating back, silent for a long time. 13. For the next 2 days, He Jingshin stayed at the hotel. We tacitly agreed not to disturb either set of parents, keeping the time just for ourselves. He said he wanted to see where I grew up. I took him down the same paths I used to walk as a kid and showed him the schools I attended growing up. I also bought some of those sugar-roasted chestnuts that always have a line outside the school gate. Gradually, I came to realize that all of this was He Jingshin's little schemes. Every time I run into familiar aunts and uncles, I have to introduce him as my boyfriend. On the last day, He Jingshin walked me downstairs. Night had fallen deep, leaving only a few streetlights casting dim halos through the cold mist. I can't remember who made the first move, but that kiss had the sweet taste of sugar-roasted chestnuts, from tender to passionate. By the time he released me, I was already slumped against his chest. Breathless, I gave his chest a few annoyed thumps. He Jingshin held my hand against his heart and chuckled. The sound a gentle rumble in his chest. Just then, my gaze froze as I spotted Chuyen standing not far away, smoking a cigarette. Before I could even react, the man had already tossed the cigarette aside and strode over to us. He punched He Jingshin right in the face. I rushed a step between them. Chuyen, have you lost your mind? Damn right I have. The man's eyes were frighteningly red. I just don't get it. After liking me for so many years, how could you fall for someone else in such a short time? You were right last time, I fucking cared, and I was jealous. I just can't accept it. I was the one who met you first, so why am I the one who ends up losing? A sudden sneer echoed from behind. He Jingshin held my shoulders, shielding me behind him. He returned that punch with even greater force. This blow was heavier and more brutal than the last, sending Chuyen sprawling into the snow. Why don't you ask yourself what you've done in the past? Acting abandoned again. Do you really think everyone's an idiot? He shoved the man to his feet and landed another heavy punch. This punch is for the old Lele. Chuyen collapsed to the ground once more, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth. Perhaps he finally came to his senses, realizing he had no right to demand answers, and simply stayed down on the ground. He Jingshin took my hand and led me away, just as we were about to get in the car. I suddenly turned my head to glance at Chuyen, and besides, what makes you so sure you were the one who knew her first? 14. The last sentence, I originally thought He Jingshin just said it off the cuff to save face, but when I was applying the medicine for him later, I realized that we had actually known each other for a very long time. I was only 4 years old at the time. Since my parents had to go abroad on a business trip, they left me with my grandparents at that time, a teenage boy was still living with my grandparents. It said that since mom and dad are abroad and don't have time to take care of them, they've been sent here to grandma and grandpa's for temporary care. You can hang out with me too. That guy is really handsome. Every time we played house, I'd always pick him to be my wife. He takes care of cooking and keeping the house tidy. I'm the one who works outside to earn money. I was a total sucker for good looks when I was a kid. Whenever I was out, I'd think about my beautiful little wife waiting for me at home. I just couldn't wait to get back home, even though my husband always grumbled about it. He kept the house perfectly tidy. When I complimented him, he'd secretly let a little smile curl at the corner of his mouth. Later, when summer vacation ended, my parents came to take me home. The little boy cried, holding my hand and begging me not to leave. He even said he was my wife and that if I was going, I had to take him with me. In the end, with no other choice, my parents carried me into the car. Little He Jingshan ran after us for what felt like an eternity, until the car completely disappeared from sight. It was like we were acting out the most dramatic scene from a Taiwanese soap opera. Not long after that, He Jingshan's parents took him abroad as well. At first, he used to look forward every day to his parents taking him back home to visit me, but they were so busy that they didn't even have time to sit down and share a proper meal with him. Later, when I grew up, I heard that I already had someone I liked. He Jingshan could only quietly bury those feelings in his heart, thinking to himself that as long as she was happy, that was enough. Even so, when I heard later that you were determined to get into Tsinghua in your senior year, I, who had originally planned to go to Peking University, followed you here without a second thought. He Jingshan gave a helpless smile, as if he had long grown accustomed to his own lack of ambition. So you applied to Tsinghua because of me too? I stared at him in surprise. Why didn't you tell me when we met at school? Later, I thought it was our first time meeting. At that, He Jingshan's ears turned slightly red. The man buried his head in the crook of my neck, his breath fanning across my skin. Softly speaking, I was so embarrassed by who I was as a kid. I didn't want to leave you with the impression of either clinging to you in tears or demanding to be your wife. So I had to pretend we just met. It's rare to see He Jingshan flustered. Actually brings back a bit of the older brother's old charm. I cradled the man's face in my hands, our noses brushing gently. Idiot, I love you no matter who you are. Thank you for coming into my life when I was at my most lost and confused. 15. The next day, He Jingshan returned home. We agreed that he would come pick me up so we could go back to school together. I didn't see Chuyen again until school started. Instead, while shopping with Su Xiao one day, I ran into Jiang Yu. Can we talk? Jiang Yu walked up to me and began to speak. Su Xiao immediately stepped in front of me. Lele has nothing to say to you. Jiang Yu ignored Su Xiao, her gaze fixed intently on me. 15 minutes. Once we're done, I imagine we'll never have to see each other again. In the end, I agreed. We were sitting in a nearby cafe. After a long silence, Jiang Yu was the first to speak. Chuyen broke up with me. You must be thrilled, right? I smiled. What's this? Not calling him Brother Yan anymore. That one sentence seemed to shatter all of Jiang Yu's defenses. She suddenly glared at me with pure venom. Peng Lu, what gives you the right to look down on people like that? Do you know what I hate most about you? It's your indifferent attitude. When I steal your man, all you do is pack up and leave. I just don't get it. What exactly about you is better than me, besides your privileged background? Why on earth would Chuyen still be so obsessed with you, if you were in my shoes? Parentless and caring for a grandmother, you wouldn't be any better than me. I watched Jiang Yu quietly, her face already twisted with envy and resentment. You're right, I truly can't understand what you're going through, but I don't feel sorry for you either, because you're luckier than most. There are many girls who can't even afford an education right now, and you're squandering what little luck you have, bit by bit. Also, let me correct something. You didn't steal my man, you just took out the trash for me. The words had barely left my lips when Jiang Yu's eyes flickered with a sudden tremor. I didn't give her a chance to speak. 15 minutes are up. Thanks for the coffee. I picked up my bag and stood to leave. She's the one who wanted to talk to me, so it's only natural she'd buy the coffee. 16. Back at school, both He Jingshan and I plunged back into our respective busy academic lives. Even though we're officially a couple now, we both have our own things to keep us busy. He has his experiments, and I have my studies. There's no way we can hang out together every single day. Sometimes when things get hectic, we don't even see each other for a whole week. We could only manage a quick lunch break together, then they quickly went their separate ways again. But I actually really enjoy this feeling. Who says couples have to be together every single day? Our lives are not solely about love. There are many more important things waiting for us to do that way. as we love each other, we can both become better people. During that time, Chuyen called me several times, but I didn't answer. He also tried to add me back on WeChat a few times, and I refused each time. I just never expected that the person calling me this time would be Auntie Chu. Lele, has Xiaoyan come to see you? I just found out that Chuyen has been shutting himself in at home ever since his fight with He Jingshan. When school started again, I didn't ask my parents to see me off. I just left without saying a word. Chu's parents thought he had returned to school, and seeing he was in low spirits, they didn't disturb him. We only just found out from the school a couple of days ago that he hasn't been back since the term started. The school has now issued an ultimatum: if he doesn't return, he'll be expelled. Uncle Chu reported him missing, and the police found he had previously bought a ticket to North City. Since she was an adult and not reported missing, the police dropped the matter. Aunt Chu had no choice but to call me. I hope that if I see Chuyen, I can persuade him to contact them as soon as possible and return to school. It suddenly occurred to me that my roommates had mentioned seeing a handsome guy around the dorm building quite often, standing around until late every day, wondering whose boyfriend I am. I rushed to the balcony and locked eyes with Chuyen, who was standing in the shade of a tree. The man had grown much thinner, and his gaze held the unease of someone caught in the act. Looks pitiful. I told Aunt Chu where Chuyen is, yet she hoped I could talk some sense into him. Lele, I know Xiaoyan must have done something to upset you, but if we don't let him figure it out on his own and just force him to come back, he'll just go looking for you again later. Please, just do me a favor, can you help me out? I'm a bit hesitant, partly because I don't want to have any further entanglements with Chuyen. On the other hand, I couldn't help but recall how Aunt Chu had taken such good care of me whenever my parents weren't around. In the end, I didn't agree with her either. In the evening, I told my mom about it. I thought she'd try to persuade me to help, just like Aunt Chu did, but then Mom said, "It's okay, honey, if you don't feel like going, then don't. No need to push yourself. You're our daughter, and your feelings matter most to us. I'll have your father come over tomorrow to help you sort this out. If that boy dares to bother you again after this, we'll call the police." I refuse to believe we can't put a stop to his nonsense. I couldn't help but laugh. With my parents' support behind me, I felt a newfound confidence. Facing Chuyen didn't seem quite so unbearable anymore. Oh well, consider it returning the favor I owe Auntie Chu. 17. In the end, accompanied by He Jingshan, I met Chuyen by the school's artificial lake. He Jingshan stood not far away. Chuyen and I stood facing each other. What is it? I'm sorry. They spoke almost simultaneously. Chuyen gave a self-deprecating smile. Ever since we parted ways last time, I don't know why, but I keep thinking about all the hurtful things I did to you in these past few days, following you from a distance, watching you study, attend classes, and work on group projects with your classmates. I've realized I missed so much of what makes you wonderful, and I was always putting you down, so I think I owe you an apology. Belated affection is worthless, and a belated apology is no different. I just said quietly. None of that matters anymore. Seeing my indifferent attitude, Chuyen's eyes suddenly welled up. He reached for me, but I stepped back to avoid him. The man's hand clenched abruptly. If I told you I've never had any improper feelings for Jiang Yu, would you believe me? I got together with her in college just to piss you off and make you regret it, because you left for Tsinghua without saying a word. Helping her in high school was just because I felt sorry for her. Believe it or not, you've always been the most important to me. Seeing the man so eager to prove himself, I just felt utterly confused. Chuyen, what's the point of saying all this now? Maybe you didn't cross the line yourself, but you let her cross it. Your permission was a transgression in itself. As the words hung in the air, the man's face instantly drained of color. Perhaps realizing he had no defense left, Chuyen produced a gift box from within his robes, his voice hoarse. This bracelet is the one I promised you back in high school. It's also the surprise I mentioned wanting to give you at the airport. It's a shame, I waited at the airport until the flight was delayed, and still, you never showed up. I worked 2 months during summer vacation just to afford this. Even if you don't want to forgive me, could you at least accept this? I looked at the bracelet lying inside. The design seems a bit childish to me now. It turns out that even something you once loved can feel like a burden if it arrives at the wrong time, like a scarf in summer or a palm leaf fan in winter. No thanks, I'm obsessive about cleanliness. I don't like things that others have worn. Chuyen's body gave a sudden jolt, his eyes already red in a way that was completely abnormal. I've said all I needed to, and turned to leave. Chuyen suddenly called out to me, if I drop out and retake the Tsinghua entrance exam, would you still be willing to give me a chance then? I stopped in my tracks and glanced back at Chuyen. It's like seeing my former self, it's just a role reversal. Now I've become him, but the difference is, I don't make promises lightly. Where you choose to study is entirely up to you, but as far as I'm concerned, you'll never get another chance. With that, she paid no further heed to the sound of the man behind her crouching down in tears. I ran to He Jingshin's side and took his hand, our fingers interlaced tightly. He Jingshin looked down at me with a gentle gaze. All set. I nodded vigorously. All right, sorted. I'm starving. Let's go get some mala. Tang from that place off campus. It's way too loud in here. He Jiaxin glanced up in the direction Chuyen was standing, then nodded. All right, it really is too loud. 18 later, I heard from Mom that Chuyen went back to school to study within a few days. The school took into account that it was his first offense and chose not to expel him. Aunt Chu bought many gifts and sent them over to thank our family. But neither of his parents accepted it, and they didn't treat the Chu family kindly either. Knowing how badly Chuyen bullied me back then, Dad was just about ready to storm his school and beat him up. Luckily, Mom stopped me. Dad's last words were, "Good thing our daughter didn't pick him, or she'd have a rough time ahead." And Chuyen still seemed to be the talk of the school, top in academics, competitions, and every aspect. The difference is, he no longer has the spirited confidence he had in high school. He's become cold and reserved, speaking much less. Besides, there's still a gap between Nanqing and Qing. To close that gap, he'd have to put in 100 times the effort. Well, that's the price you pay for the choices you make when you're young. According to other classmates, Jiang hasn't been in a relationship since breaking up with Chuyen. In fact, it's like she's turned over a new leaf and started focusing on herself. She rarely attends gatherings organized by her friends anymore. Whenever asked, she's either studying or working a part-time job. She's constantly on the go, barely a moment to spare, but classmates who run into her all say she's been smiling more. Their speech is no longer as soft-spoken as before, it has gained more confidence and authority. At the latest class reunion, she had removed her elaborate manicure, toned down her heavy makeup, tied her hair in a ponytail, and was handing out name cards to her classmates one by one. She's now running a shop in Shanghai, kind of like a student entrepreneurship venture. If anyone needs to purchase something, please scan the QR code on the name tag. Su Xiao said it was what I told her at the cafe that changed her. I don't see it that way. A person's true nature doesn't change because of a few words from you. If Jiang ended up like this, it just means that's who she was deep down all along. It's just that the person she used to be went through a long period of feeling lost. Back in my 3rd year, He Jingshin and I applied together to study abroad at Ivy League universities. The difference was, this time we chose different countries, because we were confident in our place in each other's lives, so we can be even more resolute in choosing what we truly want. We part ways now so we can reunite more beautifully in the future. Even with over 5,000 kilometers between us, we will still strive even harder in our respective fields, racing toward each other.